Joshua chapter 11. Defeat of the northern kings. When Jabin king of Hazor came to know about this, he sent ambassadors to Jobab king of Madon, to the king of Shimron, to the king of Ashur, to the kings in the northern mountains, on the steeps to the south of Chinneroth, in the plains and in the heights of Dor on the west, to the Canaanites in the east and the west, to the Amorites, Hittites, Perizzites, and Jebusites in the mountains, and the Hivites at the foot of Mount Hermon in the region of Mizpah. And they set out with their troops, a multitude as numerous as the sand on the sea, accompanied by a great number of horses and chariots. All these kings joined forces and encamped together at the spring of Merom to attack Israel. Then the Lord said to Joshua, "Do not be afraid of them, for tomorrow at this hour I will place all of them slain before Israel. You will hamstring their horses and burn their chariots of war." So Joshua and all the armed men went with him to Merom and attacked them by surprise. The Lord gave them into the hand of Israel. The Israelites destroyed and pursued them as far as Great Sidon and Misrephoth to the west, and as far as the valley of Mizpah to the east, without leaving anyone alive. Joshua also carried out what the Lord had commanded. He hamstrung the horses and burnt the chariots. At that time Joshua turned back and conquered Hazor and killed its king with the sword. Formerly Hazor was the capital of all those kingdoms. They put to the sword all the inhabitants of that city, according to the solemn ban imposed by the Lord. No one was left alive, and they immediately set the city on fire. Joshua took all the cities of these kings and all their kings and put them to death in fulfillment of the solemn ban enjoined on them by Moses, the servant of God. Israel set on fire all the cities except those lying on the slopes and on the heights, and these only Hazor was burned by Joshua. The Israelites divided among themselves the plunder and the livestock of these cities, but they put to the sword the whole population without sparing anyone. So what the Lord had commanded Moses and what Moses had entrusted to Joshua was completely fulfilled. Joshua did not neglect anything that the Lord had commanded Moses. So Joshua conquered all this land: the mountains, the Negev, Goshen, the plains, the steeps, the mountains of Israel with its plains, from the region of the Mount Halak that rises up to Seir, as far as Baal-Gad in the valley of Lebanon, to the foot of Mount Hermon. He captured all the kings, vanquishing them and killing them. The war Joshua waged against this king lasted a long time. There was no city that made peace with the Israelites except the Hivites of Gibeon. All other cities were taken into battle. The Lord gave all of them courage to fight against Israel, so that at the end they could be completely destroyed in accordance with the solemn ban imposed by the Lord through Moses. At that time Joshua attacked and wiped out the Anakim from the mountains from Hebron, from Debir, from Anab, and from all the mountains of Judah and Israel. They and their cities were destroyed in accordance with the solemn ban. No Anakim was left in the land of Israel except in Gaza, Gath, and Ashdod. Joshua seized the whole land as the Lord had directed Moses, and gave it as an inheritance to the Israelites to be distributed among their tribes. With these the land rested from war. Joshua chapter 12. List of the conquered kings. These are the kings of the country whom the Israelites defeated, taking their land beyond the Jordan eastward, from the valley of Arnon to Mount Hermon, including all the eastern sections of the Arabah. Sihon, king of the Amorites, who lived at Heshbon and ruled from Arior, which is on the edge of the Arnon. The border was at the middle of the valley, as far as the Jabbok river. That was the boundary with the Ammonites. To him belonged half of Gilead and the lowland from the east side of the lake of Chinneroth to Beth Jeshimoth road, on the east side of the Sea of the Lowland, that is, the Salt Sea, at the foot of the slopes of Pisgah. Og, king of Bashan, one of the survivors of the Rephaim, who lived at Ashtaroth and Edrei, ruled over Mount Hermon, Salcah, and all Bashan to the boundary of the Geshurites and Machazites, and over half of Gilead as far as the land of Sihon, king of Heshbon. Moses the servant of the Lord and the Israelites defeated them, and Moses the servant of the Lord gave their land to the Reubenites, the Gadites, and half-tribe of Manasseh as the inheritance. Now these are the kings of the country whom Joshua and the Israelites defeated on the west side of the Jordan, from Baal-gad in the valley of Lebanon to Mount Halak, rising towards Seir. This is the land that Joshua divided among the tribes of Israel: the hill country and the lowlands, the Arabah, the slopes and the wilderness and the Negev. This land had belonged to the Hittites, Amorites, Canaanites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. All these were the defeated kings: the king of Jericho, the king of Ai near Bethel, the king of Jerusalem, the king of Hebron, the king of Jarmuth, the king of Lachish, the king of Eglon, the king of Gezer, the king of Debir, the king of Gedar, the king of Hormah, the king of Arad, the king of Libnah, the king of Adullam, the king of Makkedah, the king of Bethel, the king of Tapua, the king of Hepa, the king of Apek, the king of Sharon, the king of Madon, the king of Hazor, the king of Shimron Meron, the king of Asha, the king of Tanach, the king of Megiddo, the king of Kadesh, the king of Jokneam in Carmel, the king of Dor on the slopes of Dor, the king of Goim in Galilee, and king of Tarsa. Total number of all these kings amounts to 31. Psalm chapter 93, the majesty of God's rule. The Lord reigns robed in majesty. The Lord is robed in majesty, and he has armed himself with strength. He has made the world firm, it cannot be moved. Your throne stands forever, from all eternity you are. The floods have lifted up, O Lord, the floods have lifted up their roaring. The floods have lifted up their pounding waves, mightier than the thunder of great waves, mightier than the breakers of the sea. The Lord on high is mighty. Your decrees stand firm. Holiness is the ornament of your house for days without end, O Lord. Luke chapter 7, verse 31 to 50. What comparison can I use for the behavior of these people? What are they like? They are like children sitting in the market complaining to one another. We played the flutes for you and you would not dance. We sang dirges and you would not cry. You have done the same. John the Baptist neither ate bread nor drank wine, and you said, he has an evil spirit. Then came the Son of Man eating and drinking, and you say, look, a glutton and a drunkard, a friend of publicans and sinners. Yet the wisdom of God has been proved right by her children. Love and forgiveness. One of the Pharisees asked Jesus to share his meal, so he went to the Pharisee's home, and as usual reclined at the table to eat. And it happened that the woman of his town, who was a sinner, heard that he was dining in the Pharisee's house. She brought a precious flask of perfume and stood behind him at his feet weeping. As she wet his feet with her tears, she dried them with her hair and kissed his feet and poured the perfume on them. Seeing this, the Pharisees who invited Jesus said to himself, if this man were a prophet, he would know who is touching him and what sort of person she is. Is not this woman a sinner? Then Jesus spoke to the Pharisee and said, Simon, I have something to ask you. He answered, Speak, Master. And Jesus said, 2 people were in debt to the same creditor. One owed him 500 denarii and the other 50. And they were unable to pay him back. He graciously cancelled the debts of both. Now which of them will love him more? Simon answered, the one, I suppose, who was forgiven more. And Jesus said, you are right. And turning toward the woman, he said to Simon, do you see this woman? When I entered your house, you gave me no water for my feet, but she has washed my feet with her tears and dried them with her hair. You did not welcome me with a kiss, but she has not stopped kissing my feet since I came in. You provided no oil for my head, but she has poured perfume on my feet. This is why I tell you, her many sins are forgiven, or else she would not have loved so much. But the one who is forgiven little loves little. Then Jesus said to the woman, your sins are forgiven. The others sitting with him at the table began to wonder, now this man claims to forgive sins. But Jesus again spoke to the woman, your faith has saved you. Go in peace.